Now, before 2020, America was a great place. I mean, the economy was doing great, crime was at an all-time low, and really everything was going great. Unfortunately, after our recent riots, America's gone to hell again. Crime is up, and it's really just getting worse here. When you look at our major cities, it is truly a mess, and it's really depressing. And unfortunately, we also have a terrible president. Now, for today's rankings, we're going to be taking a look at the worst states in America based on several statistics, such as crime, cost of living, education, poverty, unemployment, and my own personal rankings. Now, of course, most of these states are not terrible states, and most of these states are actually great states with great people, great food, and great culture. Just unfortunately, they're not great statistically, but they're still amazing states regardless. Well, most of them at least. We're going to start this list off in the West Coast as we make it to California. So for people who don't make statistic lists, seeing California on this list is a shocker. But for people who make statistic lists, this is no surprise. Now, sure, California's economy has always been doing good, and it's also one of the wealthiest states. There are still a lot of major issues. First of all, the cost of living is ridiculous. Now, a high cost of living is not usually a bad thing, but when you're insanely unaffordable expensive, then you have a problem. Unfortunately, there are a lot of working people who are working minimum wage jobs that are homeless in some of these cities that live in their cars, which is terrible. In fact, in LA, they even have an area where people just live in their cars, like camps. It's crazy. There's lots of issues in California. Number one is the homeless. I mean, the homeless here is terrible. San Francisco has a horrible homeless problem, and so does LA. Skid Row and certain parts of San Francisco are absolutely terrible. Honestly, California is just a hot mess. It's really just a terrible state, to be completely honest. In San Francisco, you're literally allowed to poop on the street, and the streets have to be sanitized and bleached because of the smell of poop. And I mean, it is crazy expensive in San Francisco. Like, a one-bedroom apartment is $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month can get you a really nice house, can get you a mansion in most states. That's terrible. And also, I'm not against any political party, to be completely honest, and I hate using this term, but I think California is too far left, and it definitely shows. Okay, so unsurprisingly, Florida is on the list. I mean, do we really have to explain why? Well, of course we do. I mean, first of all, let's just talk about the weather. Now, sure, winters here are very pleasant. By the way, I've never been here. This is just from what I've heard. Now, the winters are very pleasant here, but from April to October, it is humid. I mean, the weather is actually very bad, especially in the summers. And then there's also lots of deadly animals like alligators, sharks, poisonous snakes. I mean, it goes on. And then live PD in Pasco County is insane. I mean, and then there's Florida Man. Oh my goodness, Florida Man news reports some of the craziest things that could ever happen in America happen in Florida. And then there's the drivers. People in Florida either drive too fast and recklessly or way too slow. And then there's a lot of old people. Not that there's anything wrong with a lot of old people, but it just is what it is. There's lots of problems in Florida, and their government isn't all that great either. It's definitely one of the most corrupt states in America. Now, if you have to live in Florida, there are some good parts of Florida. Miami's really cool. Despite the residents there being super rude, it's really nice. Florida Keys is also to die for. And that northwestern corner by Pensacola and Cantonment is actually a really nice area with good, nice people. We're going to go across the country as we go to Florida. We're going to go right next door to Florida's next door neighbor, Alabama. Okay, so this one definitely hurts to put on the list. Alabama is a great state. I mean, the people here are some of the nicest in the country, The food here is amazing. The Southern barbecue is great. And it also, Alabama has the highest church attendance of any state, which is amazing. And Tuscaloosa is probably the best city in the South. Plus, the football here is like amazeballs. Like they're that was weird. Why did I say amazeballs? No, their sports are really good, and they have really cool accents. Kinda. But unfortunately, they're still struggling statistically. There's lots of issues and lots of reasons why it's on this list. First of all, the poverty is terrible here and is in the top 5 in the country for poverty. The education is not good at all. It's also in the top 10 for crime, which is not good. Now, the statistics are bad and lots of people here are also obese. Stop eating all that fast food, people. It's not healthy. The reason why I say this is because Alabama has the highest percentage of fast food eaters in the country. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I mean, I can't resist Wendy's French fries. Neither can you. Okay, so Alabama, if this was my personal ranking, Alabama would probably be in the top 10 for best states. But remember, this is more about statistics, and Birmingham is a terrible city. So that's why Alabama's on the list. There's lots of reasons why. And by the way, guys, don't make stupid jokes about Alabama people. Like, for example, oh, I'm from Alabama, I have no teeth, I'm married to my cousin. Stop doing jokes like that. It's not funny and it's offensive, okay? All right, most people in Alabama are great people. We're going to head west on our worst states in America road trip as we pull into Arkansas. Another state that hurts to put on the list. Arkansas is a nice state, right? Not really when you look at their stats. Unfortunately, similar to Alabama, it's one of the poorest and most dangerous states. Not only that, it is the most racist state in America, which is terrible. Guys, please don't be racist. If you are, you're a terrible person. Not only that, but Arkansas has other terrible statistics and that don't make it a good place, such as the obesity rate and education. And Harrison, Arkansas is the most racist city in America, which is terrible. And Zinc, Arkansas is home to the KKK headquarters, and that is just terrible. However, on the bright side, Arkansas has the most dog owners. That's great. And it's the 10th happiest state, so I guess money doesn't buy happiness. We're going to take a break from the deep south as we head west to the west coast and we pull into Oklahoma. Okay, so this is a state that doesn't hurt to be put on the list. I don't know much about Oklahoma. I've never been there. I mean, the farthest west I've been to is Pennsylvania, which is crazy. But anyways, the only thing I really know Oklahoma for is tornadoes, Trump supporters, and the Oklahoma County Beyond Scared Straight episodes. Anyways, there's a lot of bad statistics in Oklahoma. First of all, Oklahoma people eat the least amount of fruits and vegetables. Yes, they actually measure that. I don't even know why they measure statistics like that, to be completely honest. But that is not responsible. Plus, there's tornadoes all the time. It's one of the most racist states, and it's one of the only states in America where no counties voted blue. Not that that's a bad thing, but voting for Trump is certainly not a good thing. Anyways, we're going to head to our next state. We're going to head back to the deep south as we travel back to Louisiana. All right, so Louisiana is another state that hurts to put on the list. Good people. It has the second highest amount of church attendance and really good food. And New Orleans is a nice city. Unfortunately, that's about all they have good going for them. Unfortunately, the statistics are absolutely terrible here. First of all, Louisiana is one of the poorest states. It's the third most dangerous. The crime, especially in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, especially the violent crime, is terrible. And the obesity rate is high. It is humid and muggy. Honestly, it's not really a great state to live in. But it's only number 5. And again, it's not a bad state. It's a great state. Just statistically, it's not good. Back to the West Coast, and here we are in New Mexico. Okay, New Mexico, yet another state that hurts to be putting on this list. New Mexico is one of the most beautiful states in America, and its weather is amazing. It doesn't get too hot and it doesn't get too cold. However, poverty is in the top 5 in America. Crime is the second highest, which is terrible. And it ranks first in a lot of really disturbing categories that we're not going to talk about. New Mexico is ranked terribly, unfortunately. Although it's not a horrible state, right? I mean, come on, look at these landscapes, and it's cheap. Okay, honestly, New Mexico doesn't deserve to be on this list, but when you actually think about it, they're the second most dangerous and in the top 5 for poverty, so they kind of do deserve to make it on this list. So number 3 on our list is Alaska. 60 hours? I'm not driving that far. Okay, we're taking a plane. There's lots of reasons why Alaska should be on this list. First of all, well, taxes are basically free, and you get a check from the government for being alive, so that's kind of cool. But would you really want to pay taxes? I mean, yeah, no one should pay taxes in a state like this. First of all, the weather is cold. I mean, you have to wear sweatshirts in the summer. How bad is that? The weather is miserable. Not only that, but it's very, very dangerous. In fact, Alaska has the most crime per capita in America, which is crazy. And also, just those are the crimes that get reported. Just think about how many crimes don't get reported in Alaska. A lot of the small towns don't have local police, so it takes days for the state troopers to arrive to a crime scene, which is scary. And then there's also the bears and other deadly animals in Alaska. It's just a really hard, difficult place to live in. It's pretty, though. All right, we're gonna fly all the way to West Virginia. West Virginia is a gorgeous state, and it's very pretty. Not only is it very pretty, it has great people, beautiful landscapes. It's very clean. That's all that they have that's good going for them. Now, we're not gonna put too much hate on West Virginia because it is not as bad as people make it seem. Although poverty's bad and the economy is the worst and the infrastructure is the worst, so that's no good. And coal mines, there used to be a lot of coal mines here. Unfortunately, there's not as many, so the economy is bad again. And the worst state in America is, drum roll please, okay, Mississippi, not surprised. Did I even spell that right? Okay, so of course we all knew Mississippi would be number 1. Now, it is another state that kind of hurts to put on the list because the people here are very nice, and it's a good southern hospitable state, or whatever that word is. It's hospitality, but okay, anyways, doesn't matter. There's lots of reasons why Mississippi's on this list. First of all, it is by far the poorest state in the country. I mean, most people here live in extreme poverty. It's also highest in America for teenage pregnancy, and that's terrible. It's also extremely high in unemployment. Now, crime isn't terrible, which is good. I mean, good for Mississippi, and things are getting better here, I guess. But Mississippi is still a terrible state to live in, and really no place you should even consider moving to. I mean, why would you want to move to Mississippi anyways? It's one of the most boring states in the country. However, it does have the highest percentage of black people in America, so I guess that is a pretty cool stat, but that's about it. And that is it for our worst states in America. I mean, there shouldn't be very many surprises. Unfortunately, there's a lot of states that are not statistically great, but remember, these states all have good and bad cities, just like any other state. So just remember, we're not trying to be mean. Unfortunately, statistics are bad, but don't worry, okay? All these states are great anyways, except for California and Florida and Oklahoma. Make sure to like, subscribe. God bless to all you guys.